let's come to the topic of today. We are here to discuss about real estate as a career choice, and we have a privilege of having Mr. Amol Shimpi with us. So, Mr. Amol Shimpi has completed his architecture from LS Raheja School of Architecture in Mumbai in 1993. Then he went ahead to do his post graduation in urban and regional planning from CEPT Ahmedabad and his Masters of Finance Management from SIM Mumbai University in 2006. He holds a total experience of more than 2 decades and has worked in various prestigious companies and institutions like Lavasa Corporation Limited as Senior Vice President, HCC Group as VP of Business Development, Colliers International and ICICI Property Services as National Director for Land Sales, and has worked on various large scale projects. He has been teaching for many years now, and he has worked as a faculty at Rachna Sansad Academy of Architecture, D.Y. Patil College of Architecture, where he was my professor too. And currently, he is Associated Dean and Director of School of Real Estate at RICS School of Built Environment, MIT University, Mumbai. Beside this, he is an independent director at Puranic Business Builders Limited, director at Altamonte HQ LLP, and founder director of SAS Investment. He is also a visiting faculty and jury member to many architecture and planning colleges, including his alumni college. He is actively involved towards industry development through training, writing articles in various publications, and he has represented his organization in various industry forums, media, and conferences. So, if you look at his area of expertise after so much of experience, it is ranging from architecture and urban planning, regional planning, teaching, finance management, feasibility studies, land acquisition, strategy forming, business development, marketing, and sales. So he is a complete package of lot of talent, and he is the one person where we can learn a lot from. So I can't wait to ask you my question. So what inspired you to get into all these aspects of built environment and building technology? So,
Uh, to start with, I think I should basically give credit to this, to my architecture. Between 98 to 1993, I was student of LS Raheja School of Architecture. And since my first year itself, I started doing work as a part-time work. I was fortunate to have my college between 7:30 to 1 during that particular time. At 1 o'clock, we used to be free. So from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m., we could get an opportunity to work on projects as a kind of a junior, as a trainee architect or architectural student trainee, then apprentice. So in that, during that particular time, I got introduced to redevelopment projects in Mumbai, which were happening during that particular time. And redevelopment projects and other such kind of projects, I realized that designing is not the only thing in these kind of projects. You actually need a lot of other things along with design. That a lot of other skills are required to basically make these particular projects happen. The technicalities of the projects needs to be understood well, and the financial aspects and planning aspects also need to be understood. And at the same time, a huge amount of convincing is required to the stakeholders during that time. So between 98 to 93, I picked that particular thing up, that besides architecture, that you have to actually learn a lot of skills to make the projects happen in a city like Mumbai. Especially licensing in city is quite tough. And then because of that, you get to learn about a lot of other things. So every year from 1998 to 88 to 93, every year I worked part-time. And eventually I decided to work for one more year after I completed my architecture. Again, in that particular year, I worked on the redevelopment projects in Mumbai. And by that time, these policies for redevelopment, slum redevelopment, were slowly setting in. 1991 DCR had already come in. And because of that, the development control regulations for this slum redevelopment as well as old buildings redevelopment under 33 by 7, 33 by 10, 11, all these things were coming forward. So in that 1 year, I came to know that if I have to do my masters, then urban and regional planning would be probably the kind of a best masters what I can get. And CEPT Ahmedabad was providing that particular masters along with IIT Kharagpur and SPA Delhi. I got selected in all these three institutions, but CEPT Ahmedabad at that particular time attracted me the most because the faculty over there was quite outspoken, and at the same time they were quite open to this idea of liberalization. We had to embrace liberalization in 1991, and we were working on this particular part. But this faculty had already taken that maybe 10 or 15 years before. They are working in a liberalized world in a way. So that attracted me. So between 94 to 96, I did my master's in urban and regional planning from SEPT Ahmedabad. I had also received my GATE scholarship over there. And because of that, it was my master's study was easy. Again, at a thesis level, when I came to know that I have to do a dissertation over there, once again went back to my favorite subject of slum redevelopment, and I picked up that slum redevelopment in Mumbai. By that time, Shiv Sena BJP government first tenure had come, and they had made a separate rules for slum redevelopment in 1995. So I studied those particular rules and regulations and made my dissertation topic. So in 96, when I come back to Mumbai, I started working on redevelopment projects as well as became a consultant to MMRDA for their heritage projects on the basis of the kind of urban planning I had done. So, but slowly I started understanding other aspects, and basically that is something which I would say that I got attracted to this world of real estate, where the architects are the designers, but at the same time they have to be supported by developers and various other consultants, financial consultants. Everybody plays their particular role, and their interrelationships and roles is something what basically attracted me towards the field of real estate. And once again, it is a kind of, in a way, it's kind of going back to the way the world was operating before architects and engineers and everyone, they became a separate kind of a separate
Fields, yeah.
responsibilities. The world was working on master builder concept earlier also. Master builder used to design, used to decide the structure, and used to get it executed. So used to deliver the building to the client, whether he's a king or church or a kind of a wealthy person. They used to deliver an entire package, an entire project. So then later on, the specialization part came up where architects got restricted themselves only to design part. Structural engineers started designing structure. Civil engineers started talking about construction. Project managers started working on project management aspect. So that started happening. But later on, now the time has again come back that architects has to think about the kind of a complete holistic approach, and they should be the solution provider rather than only the design provider. So that is something which basically attracted me to this world of real estate. And I decided that besides being a kind of a faculty in architecture colleges, where I actually came across you and Milim, so that time I started working part-time with real estate companies, consultancies. India had become independent. They had come to India way back in 94, 95. These international property consultants today, these are very big names: CBRE, Jones Lang LaSalle, or Chesterton, or Colliers Jardine. These names had come. Today they are known as Colliers International. They had taken the entry in the country, and parallelly I started working on the real estate projects over there for them. So that started my entry into real estate.
So who better person than you to answer what is real estate for architects? I mean, the definition for what architects will understand and how it is important to construction industry.
So we have to understand one particular part, that in this particular industry of real estate, our build land is the kind of a raw material what we have over there. But what you can do with that particular land, the first template for that has to be worked out, and that template is worked out by an architect. Land has got an FAR on it, and that decides the development potential of that particular land. But by using different rules and regulation, you can enhance the development potential, and that development potential itself become the kind of framework onto the entire real estate project then stands. Then comes the kind of a feasibility, that what would be the probably most which will work most on that particular site in terms of viability, technical and commercial both, and in terms of the customer acceptance, what it works. So we generally, architects used to do all these particular roles before the specializations were introduced. So we used to work out the kind of a development potential for our developer client, and we also used to tell him that what would really work over here. 2 BHKs, 3 BHKs, combinations, shops on the ground floor, offices on the first floor, and residential on the above floor. All these was completely left to us. And we used to take all these particular calls, and we used to get only paid for the design. But all the market related kind of a calls were always taken by architects. That is what it used to be. But now again, what we can see that the market demands all these kind of a services from architects. And so I think that architect is a technically also and morally also he is responsible for a particular and also ethically and morally he is bound to the success of the project and also to the customer client, that is customer, that is end users, and the clients of this particular project. Legally also he is considered responsible for the success or failure of this particular project, particularly from the design perspective as well as from if anything goes wrong with that. So in this particular case, if you are anyway going to come under this particular thing, why not to take this particular full responsibility of it? That is a kind of a viewpoint on which I started working. And since beginning, I started inspiring the young architects who were there with me, that to look beyond just design and think this particular field as a kind of from a holistic perspective, and try to become not only a design provider, but a solution provider, a complete solution provider.
In this field, as architects enter this field, what roles can they play? What are there are various roles that they can contribute to this field through?
Absolutely. See, if you consider like kind of a real estate as a kind of a cycle, real estate development as a cycle, and typically it starts with land itself. So either the land is with you or you don't have land. So there is always a classic question in real estate development, that land in search of usage or usage in search of land. That is the first classic question. And that's a kind of a field which is called as business development. Under this field of business development, this answer is given. So if you may have a land, but that land does not have the certain kind of a parameters what you want, those parameters are not met by the land, and so therefore only certain activities can be permissible under that. Architect can play his role and tell his client exactly what is possible on that particular land and what can work, first from the technical perspective, and then later on commercial and other financial perspective also comes into picture. But the first part in that particular case, or the first kind of action, is always made by an architect. Sometimes the client does not have land, but he wants maybe a mall constructed. Then once the multiple sites come, then the first person he consults is an architect, whether it will be feasible to build a mall or build an IT park over there. What is your opinion? That is something which is asked. So business development is something where the project will be feasible or not, technically, commercially, financially, and from market perspective. That is something an architect can play his role into that. So business development is number one activity. Once you decide that a land can be used for a certain usage, or you can purchase a certain land or enter into a joint venture or a joint development model, next part comes, which is design and development. But before the design and development, again, you basically may conduct some of the detailed surveys, and you may do a detailed techno-economic feasibility report. Again, the techno-economic feasibility report stands on two things: what kind of a development potential I'm going to get, what kind of building I'm going to get, and at the same time, what would be the kind of a rate I'm going to get by selling or leasing that building, and what kind of construction cost I will incur. Again, architect comes into picture, and he can basically play a role into this. And so from business development, when you go to the design and development stage, then techno-economic feasibility report and detailed project reports are needed to be worked on. That stage, you work with several other consultants also. You work with structural consultants, project managers, you work with even CAs, financial consultants. So that stage, architect can play an important role, because he knows that from that business development stage, in the actual design and development stage, what are the different steps which are going to be taken. Then comes a part of architect's brief, that final architectural brief that can be prepared post you have done the detailed techno-economic feasibility report, and a detailed project report is ready. After that, you have to prepare an architect's brief. That architects need to be basically told that what is something which is expected out of him. And then again, and you have to tell your expectations and allow the architect to basically run a free hand for the design, because that is his job. You have to get that job done from him, good planning, good elevations, which can sell in the market without actually hurting his ego. You have to get that particular thing done. If you are an architect, then you can discuss with a fellow architect in a better way, because you also have gone through the same process. So design and development is a stage where also architects can play an important role. Once the design part is done, then the next part comes is the appointment of various consultants. Then design development department also has to work on this particular part, getting structural consultants in. Initially, you may have someone, but later on you would like to probably needs a different names, licensing architects, landscape architect, all the several consultants are required. Architect, as he knows what kind of final product he's expecting, he knows which consultant to rope in at what particular stage. So then roping these consultants, preparing their briefs, what kind of a appointment letter should be given to them, what should be the condition, that gets decided at stage. Then the final construction starts, project management. So that's the stage what we call as construction stage. But before that, one more activity takes place parallelly, and that activity is of marketing and sales. Now in marketing and sales, the architectural brief, which initially has been given to architect and the kind of a product what you are going to get, that acts as a base for marketing brief. And so you have to start discussing with marketing agency that this is the kind of a target audience you have in mind. That target audience will get basically fulfill all their aspirations, what they have in mind if they take part in this particular project. So you have to discuss about that. So preparing a marketing brief, getting marketing agencies on board, and then deciding the selling and leasing techniques and tactics. That's also the kind of a role which happens parallelly along with construction, because you cannot wait for a construction to end and then start your marketing. That doesn't happen. These activities take place parallelly. So one hand marketing happens, on the other hand construction is taking place. In construction, various stages come where the multiple municipal sanctions and permissions are required. Again, as an architect, is someone who understands this particular process. If he's part of that real estate development cycle, he knows what are the kind of different permissions are going to come, and because of that, how the schedule is going to get affected. So generally, you will see that in project market management, we have two stages: pre-construction and actual construction phase. Okay, so that in that particular stage, architects again plays a important role in both these stages. In pre-construction, appointment of various consultants, getting various permissions done, and starting of the actual construction. And the construction is monitoring of the quality, health, safety, and other parameters. That also architect plays an important role. Today, sustainability is a very big buzzword. Every project has to basically be a sustainable thing. And architects, they generally, in their 5 years of studies itself, are aware about so many sustainability and other ideas. And those ideas now need to be practically executed. So architect help onto this particular aspect. So I was talking about the facility management part of it. This facility management, again, their expectations are completely different. And only one person who can understand that is an architect who has imagined that particular project right from the beginning. Because what he has imagined, that is what the facility management people are going to continue and complete. And so he again plays an important role into that. And with, the building gets handed over to facility management. Building construction takes place for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. But facility management has to take care of the building for 40, 60, 80 or 100 years, whatever has been the life of the building. One more thing which happens is what we call as investment sales. And that is something which, if a project is a mall and suppose it is completely leased, how the developer is going to get his money back. Then in that case, the investors come into picture, or lease rental discounting happens. Again, various kind of reports are required, development potential, etc. Again, discuss at that particular point of time. And architects have to prepare those particular reports. And those with architectural background, they help to prepare those reports. Sometimes technical due diligence of the project, again, legal due diligence of the project takes place at that stage also. When the project is completely occupied, all the tenants are in that stage also, these activities take place. And so I would say that if you consider a 360-degree built environment as a clock, architect comes at 12 o'clock and he can leave at 12 o'clock only when the project is finally given to an investment agency, and that investment agency and facility management people, then they start managing it. By the time the money is in, and again, the developer is now sitting with 100, 200, 300 crores of cash, and that is the kind of time he has to again think for a new project. And then again, the architect can basically start his role.
Then the clock starts again.
The clock starts all over again. That is what it happens. And everywhere, that's why we can say that architects has to basically play his role. Only thing is that they were not understanding that when 30, 40 years back, the same job they were doing for the developer. Today, the world has given that opportunity to them to play this particular activity formally. So from informal to formal, that is what the kind of a jump architects have to take. One more thing is that previously they were not paid for all this kind of extra service. That used to come as a part of the design and development, what they used to do. And the fees architects used to charge for that. That was used to cover this. But today, the architects, if they are doing this particular part, if they are taking the complete responsibility as a turnkey solution provider, and if they are going to play their role in each and every activity, then developers are willing to basically pay for all these kind of services, which the architect can basically render. Or a maybe architect management graduate, you may say, that he can render. My point over here is that technical skills are there, but you have to marry technical skill with a managerial skill in today's world.
Correct. So we can see that, the architect are playing a vast variety of role in various fields in real estate. But only basic education of architecture might not be enough to play every role that you have talked about. So what are additional skills that architect has to learn to do all these things as per you?
As I said earlier, the architects will have to start playing the role of an architect manager. And they have to looking at the current scenario with more than 450 colleges in the country and about 25,000 architects coming out every year. And
Hmm.
the industry has still not gone to this particular level that all these architects will only get absorbed as designers of the projects only.
Yes.
That is something which is there. And so, but they will have to probably step up now. This country has about 130 crore population. And if you just go by a kind of a thumb, just by kind of back of the envelope calculation, maybe even 30 crore people may not be happy with the kind of accommodations they have or the kind of
Hmm.
offices they are working into. So as the population of the country grows in, as well as the purchasing power goes up, the opportunities are definitely going to come up, and these opportunities will be largely in the field of real estate. Even infrastructure projects also today have to depend upon
Yes.
real estate as a means
Sure.
of raising revenue. And so
Yeah.
in this particular case, as we have said in the earlier part of this discussion, that everything and anything in real estate starts with the development potential, and the
Yes.
architect basically starts that particular discussion. So now the focus of the industry is shifting from pure design services to design, execute and deliver services. That's
Hmm.
what I mean, say that you have to take the complete responsibility. Real estate firms also today, they are looking at a multi-skilled professional. They
Yes.
know that if they hire an architect, say
Hmm.
in sales and marketing department, an architect MBA, or an architect decides, even without an MBA also, if an architect decides to take a plunge into this, they know that an architect sales professional or architect marketing professional will be able to handle real estate as a product and a
Hmm.
service in a much different way than a normal graduate MBA would be able to handle.
Hmm.
And so the architects need to step up, and they also are sure that in this particular case, if required, design is something which that architect knows. So if he's working on other things, he can also be given an additional responsibility to multitasking and multi-skilling. These are the kind of a buzzwords today. And then wider panorama of career options can open.
Hmm.
For that matter, additional responsibilities and promotions can come, because then the developers and development agencies, they also know that this man or this woman is actually providing all the solutions to us. We can depend upon them.
Hmm.
They can also understand what the customer, their end customer really wants. And
Hmm.
when that particular thing is there with you, it reflects into anything and everything you do, whether it is design development, sales and marketing,
Hmm.
or handing over the project management. Everywhere your end customer, that is somebody you have in mind. By our profession, we are called as professionals, and as a professionals, we are bound to the kind of a roles and responsibilities what we have to play for our end customer as well. Ethically and morally, we are responsible. And so in this particular case, again, making profit is not bad, but while making this particular profit, taking care of all these kind of a things, what we call as people, profit and planet, the
Hmm.
three P's, is that something which an architect can basically manage really well. In terms of looking what kind of different careers, even for the with this fear of repetition, I would still say that the architect can look at careers in sales, marketing, business development,
Hmm.
transactions, advisory services,
Hmm.
financial modeling,
Hmm.
valuation, financial analysis, feasibility studies, project monitoring, facility management, and market research.
Wow.
Particularly, valuation today is basically becoming a kind of a more of a
Yes.
formal field in this particular country.
Yes.
The rules and regulations for valuations are getting set up. NPA resolution and other such kind of guidelines are coming up. NCLT and all that also now gives scope
Hmm.
to the real estate valuations, or I can say land and building valuation and business valuations. They are being treated as a different line. Land and building valuation can be done by architects and civil engineers only. And
Hmm.
then, of course, if they have a higher education in valuation or in
Hmm.
financial modeling and all that, it helps. But in that particular case, a 360-degree understanding of the business is necessary even for professions like valuation. And
Okay.
his valuation is now taking a center stage. Banks and financial institutions have realized that the valuations were not right, and that was the main reason behind NPAs. At the same time, the valuation, the correct development potential, the possibilities of development were never undertaken. So now they are understanding this particular part, and therefore the guidelines are being set that who can do a valuation. A commerce graduate will not be allowed to do valuation when the land and building is in consideration.
Correct.
Architects and civil engineers they can do that particular part. Sometimes it is a valuation of a completed building.
Hmm.
Sometimes a valuation of a deteriorated building. So
Hmm.
even in that particular case, you should know what exactly is going to be the kind of a current and future potential of that particular building. So therefore,
Correct. Correct.
now the time has basically come to basically look beyond our real estate, rather only design. What more I can say is that RERA particularly has now come in, and that
Hmm.
RERA has started trusting immense responsibilities onto architects. Of course, previously also it was there, but today the kind of whole payment process in RERA basically a developer getting paid for the kind of work what he's doing. That is started depending on that. Previously, the money is to land in developer's account just like that. Today,
Yes.
an escrow has to be created. And once the escrow gets created, 70% of that particular money gets linked to the construction progress. And this construction progress first, the engineer has to prepare a bill. An architect has to sign that the work has to happen at that stage. The CA makes the further signature. And after that, the bank manager can release the money to the developer. And so that is architects are given this particular responsibility of maintaining the trust in this particular business also. And therefore, we cannot afford to become only designer and blindly trust the developer on this particular part. We have to now step up and look at the kind of activities what developers are doing, because we will be bound by signature once all these things particularly come. So with a background in design, architects have holistic understanding of the project that we can say, and they are able to handle this efficiently execute the project. And also the quality management is something what they can do, and also play up the kind of a responsibility which acts like a RERA that has come up. I would dare say that architects should now start thinking as themselves archipreneur or archi developers. You may call them.
Okay.
You can become an entrepreneur. So entrepreneurs for architect combination, archipreneur you can become, and also you can become an archi developers. Already there are several companies who have their architects as their promoters, and then they run their development business very differently. Then there are architects, entrepreneurs who are there. They are using the kind of skill sets what they learned, had earned during the 5 years of studies and internships and practice afterwards, and they are becoming successful professionals. They are becoming set designers. They are becoming hospitality professionals. All these things are doing because one thing is very clear, Snehal, I would like to say that architects are creative. That creative thinking in today's world has to be balanced by critical thinking. So creative and critical thinking, if it is there, then real estate is not the kind of only avenue you can look at. You can look at any business for that matter.
Correct.
Because, and at any business, it can start with, say, maybe hospitality and catering business also, and it can go up to facility management. You can start any business with the same zeal and spirit what you have. You can carry that particular business successfully.
So you have to, but you have to upgrade yourself in certain areas.
Yes.
Like that day we were talking about, like say, research and marketing or sales fundamentals. So can you enlighten us a little bit about what additional skills will help us excel in the careers that you're talking about?
Of course, like in any career, whether you want to work in a kind of a job or whether you want to start something of your own, dedication, discipline, and desire. These three things matter. The 3D, that 3D effect has to be there along with it. And one more thing has to be there with the architects, generally that is not the kind of a case, is that being creative, the architects many times are lax in terms of the kind of a delivery, what is supposed to be done. They don't send their drawings in time. They don't coordinate in a particular way. They are in love with their design. Many times the actual execution may get delayed. Even sometimes their own office is also not in order in many cases. So if you have to basically step up to the kind of challenges which this world has started putting forward, the architects will have to become really disciplined in their approach. That is something which is very, very important. And at the same time, what is more important is that understanding finance is something which is very, very important. When I was a student of architecture in my earlier syllabus, we were made aware about this kind of a real world of execution of real estate projects. About 3 or 4 subjects used to be there. Project management was a compulsory subject for us. We learned that for 1 full year, or maybe like for 2 full years project management introduced. We also had a subject called as building economics in architecture, building economics. Then professional practice was also there. And then we also had to do dissertation. So these 3 or 4 or 5 subjects, which were compulsory subjects for us, even town planning was compulsory. So these subjects basically created a kind of a setup for us that in what way we can play our role. So I would say the architects will have to step up in terms of knowledge. The current syllabus what Mumbai University and other universities have, they have started making multiple subjects as an optional subject. And because of that, the students sometimes are not aware about the project management fundamentals while they are architecture student itself. This is just an example. So when you basically step up and you want to take a bigger responsibility in this world of development, then understanding of financial management, that becomes a very, very important subject. Architects hate these two subjects of accounts and financial management, and therefore in their case accounts is completely left to the chartered accountant, what they generally have, and they just leave it to a chartered accountant. And sometimes the chartered accountant tells him that you might have earned a lot of money in this particular year, but your firm has not made any profit. In fact, we'll have to dip into your reserve if this firm needs to be continued. So that is something which the architects need to change. And therefore, I would say that if they go for professional management programs, there is an emphasis on financial management. There is an emphasis on HR. Architects are many times are seen in very much relaxed in terms of HR approach, and therefore the firms, basically the human resources, they cannot target and they cannot cultivate. Only few architects can manage. Exceptions are there, but rest of the architects, they cannot really manage to attract good talent, retain good talent, and also the kind of see to it that they can provide good facilities to them. So these HR fundamentals is something what you learn in professional MBA programs. That is something which helps you. Sales and marketing, we mentioned that architects are that way born salesmen in a way, or even if they are not, 5 years of architecture basically make them to sell their design to their professors and later on to their clients. Now this sales and marketing streak, what you have, that sales and marketing streak is already there, but it needs to be disciplined. And again, learning sales and marketing in a formal way, in a professional way, by looking at various case studies of different companies like IBM, Apple, or 3M, they basically start making you clear about this particular part. And one last important thing is that the world is now moving to the whole, this new chapter is opening it, which is called as design thinking. In case of management, we used to harp a lot about critical thinking. And it's critical, our decisions used to be completely depending on critical thinking. And sometimes in critical thinking, you come to an end of the road where no solution is being seen. Creativity can be the only solution over there. Out of the box, we always keep on talking about, but sometimes we realize that we have to throw the box and start all over again. That is the time the architects can play an important role, because they are habitual of working on concept. So from concept, you have to move to content. And when you move from concept to content, you have to understand context. So concept, content, and context. These three things what we learn in our architectural design and any other field like town planning and other thing where design, urban design, and all these kind of fields, we work on 3 C's: concept, content, and context. Concept, content, and context. The world of management is now becoming aware about the potential of architects to come with these kind of solutions, where all other aspects are over, you can still think and come with the kind of a solution. That is what we call as a kind of a design thinking. And this design thinking is something which is becoming absolutely important. And the professional management firms and professional developers and other firms, they have started giving weightage to this particular part. And the architects should not leave this particular opportunity anymore.
So they are now working like, with all these development that they are doing, like there are a lot of MBAs courses that architects are attending and they are developing themselves. So there, it opens a whole new job opportunities or job avenues for architects, right?
Absolutely.
So what are the other fields that now employs architects after having all these skills?
We have to understand one thing, that engineers and civil engineers particularly, they became aware about the opportunities in management field much earlier than us.
Yes.
Because we were the creative people and we were happy with the kind of work we were doing. And then doing some kind of a thing professionally and not means like from a business like approach was always something which was even our faculty also to say, don't become a developer. Developer's world is dirty. Why do you want to become that? Just become a designer. Why do you want to get into all these kind of things? That they used to always say. But you have to understand that only you can clean the field or clean the lake only if you enter into that particular thing. So architects will have to enter in that particular part. Only when they start taking these efforts, then only this field will get clean. Another point here is that what architects can do really is that after architecture, then you can do 2 kinds of MBAs. One is what we call a general MBA. Then you can take a specialized like sales and marketing, HR, or finance, or even systems. That 3-4 types of management you can do in general management also. And you can aim of going to global institution like Harvard, or you can even aim at IIM Ahmedabad also for that matter. The world doesn't stop you. In fact, the architecture, the management institutions across the world, they are giving importance to design professionals because they are looking at a kind of these professionals to add to the diversity in the class and also take up the whole intellectual capital of the class up. So you are welcome, but architects have to understand that particular part. If architects decide to go for specialized management field, then multiple avenues are open today. The avenues like construction project management. Architects are welcome in construction project management because in a pre-construction planning, their role is very good. A very big role is there. At the same time, designing, detailing comes up even at a construction stage also. You have to keep on working. And somebody who is very clear about 3D execution of the project is somebody who is most welcome over there. Building information modeling, Snehal, you must have heard about that BIM,
Yes,
which is
sure.
coming up, that we are moving to that stage now. So from design up to project management, everywhere BIM is being used. And who
Yes.
can use the BIM efficiently? Somebody who thinks in 3 dimension can
Yes.
use the BIM. We are now moved to the next stage of BIM, 4D and 5D BIM, where
Yes.
time and cost also can be put onto the same model, and you can judge that. Architects surprisingly can do really well into this particular part because their training basically helps them to do this. So I
Yes.
would say construction project management is a very good field which architects, if they are interested in those particular aspects. Then real estate and urban infrastructure management, which is a kind of a course not many institution in the country provides. Rather, we can say we are the only one, are the pioneers into this, who are providing it to two different places, Noida and Mumbai. But
Okay.
construction project management is practically available in many institutes in the country. But real estate and urban infrastructure is not available anywhere. Right from execution, or rather right from excavation up to facility management, they can play multiple roles into this. And there are different people who can employ architects after they do this particular work. So suppose if you do construction project management, you can join a developer in the project marketing management team. You can join a project management consultant and become a consultant. You can join a contractor and start executing. You can become a very special consultant, say for example, a BIM expert you can become, or you can become a sustainability expert. So you can do that as well. Then at the same time, financial institutions also today, and even private equity funds and investors like Blackstone, even they also need project management consultant today on their role. And these responsibilities are huge, salaries are good, incentives are also good. If you come to real estate and urban infrastructure, you can get employed by developers. You can get employed by international property consultants, IPC.
Yes.
You can get employed by local property consultants also. You can get employed by housing finance institutions, because today the housing finance institutions saying we can understand market really well, but we don't understand the development potential. We don't understand the timelines. We don't understand costing. We don't understand schedule. So if our huge amount of money as a construction finance and home finance is floating onto the project, we should better understand that project technically. And so architect MBA or architect managers can find employment with housing finance institution also. Private equity funds also employ them. Facility management firms employ them. Sales and marketing companies also employ them. So basically in a 360-degree built environment, wherever professionally that work is done, architect managers, they can come. Project monitoring also becomes a very important activity. Today, most of the companies are what we call onto ERP, enterprise resource planning. But in an ERP, the full technical understanding of that is required. Domain experts. If architects are domain experts, then they are hired by even IT companies to basically set up the entire process of a developer. That architects can play a role into this because they are the domain experts. They don't necessarily need to know what is programming. Others, they do that particular job for them, but architects can do that as a domain expert. I know that from my batch in architecture, there are 4 students today who are not students, they are professional now of my age, but they are all succeeded. They have made their career into ERP, and one of them is actually selling architectural and building development software. So architects have to understand one thing: anything under the sun, if an architect decides that he will do it, he will do that. He can do that particular part. Our 5 years of our professional education is one of the longest courses. Probably medical is slightly longer than us, but 5 years of professional education can actually prepare you for any challenges. And then you can top that by getting that critical thinking angle, by doing your management, by doing financial, by getting knowledge about valuation, financial management, HR, and sales and marketing aspect. Then you can become an unbeatable combination in the world. Again, there is has to understand one thing, is that the pressure are going to be there because of COVID or a pandemic related things. There will be a pressure onto the revenues and the profits of the companies. So they will not like to hire people for multiple roles, different people. They would like to hire someone who can probably do designing, can help in sales and marketing, can do project monitoring. So our architect, if he's wearing different hats, then he would probably be the first preference in the kind of competitive world what we are going to face. And this situation is not going to change overnight. For next 5 to 10 years, it will be like this only. So in that particular case, only as we we can say that the storms will keep on happening. Our job is to basically steer the ship.
Yes.
And only thing what we can do is adjusting the sail. That is the only
Yes.
thing what we can do. But we
Correct.
cannot go back to the harbor because we'll be safe over there. The
Yes.
ship is meant to cross this stormy seas. The ship is meant to be that. So consider your career as a kind of a ship. You are the only one who can steer that particular career by adjusting your sails. The only point here is that the architects have started slowly understanding this particular part and are now getting ready for a bigger role. If you just look at some of the things, if you look at the developers in the country and professionals turning developer, if you see, then you'll find that civil engineers and chartered accountants, they very easily embrace the roles of developers and they do that. Architects are reluctant to do this, and even if they take up, then generally they will end up doing jobs. But now is the time where you have to take up this particular role. Some of the kind of firms I'm associated with, they play a lot of role, or rather they are architect promoted firms. So in that case, I have seen that kind of difference. There are certain firms like Total Environment from Bangalore. It's an architect promoted firm and they are doing development today. John Portman and Associates. It's a very old firm in US. That's also an architect promoted development firm. Okay, of course, you will not able to probably address our entire domain of the development world. Maybe you can start with affordable housing and you can look, because the costs are low, land costs are low, construction costs are low, and high design and managerial inputs are required. So architects can probably choose affordable housing and start work. Some architects can choose to make luxury housing. Right from design up to development they can do. So I would say the sky is the limit in this particular field. Only thing is that you cannot, and I'm repeating, you cannot afford to remain just an architect and do this. Again, it's not that somebody will not able to do this, but then the purpose of education is to reduce uncertainties in life. That is something which is there. So otherwise you should not have gone to the school itself. Why do you go to school and do primary education? Because then you want to understand the world better and reduce uncertainties in life and make others' life also better. So if that is the responsibility, then you will have to play that responsibility.
You are teaching, like you have started a lot of innovative programs, and you're teaching also. You're involved in this, educating architects toward that. So tell us a little bit about what programs you're running and
yes, of course.
what you're doing right now.
RICS started in India. Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors is a 150-year-old, more than 150 or now 153 year it will complete. So it's a 153-year-old organization called as Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors. So they were initially into surveying of the land, which was a kind of a very noble profession during that time. And so that was the only pathway they had. Today, RICS has more than 21 pathways they have, and all activities in our real estate and construction infrastructure world they cover, except architectural design, which are RIBA is there to cover that particular part. So they cover practically project management, development, every other field, valuation, facility management, all this field they cover. RICS also has a job of accreditation of education institutes, and more than 600 education institutes across the world offering education into built environment, that is real estate, construction, infrastructure. They have been accrediting this particular program. In 2012, they decided that they will start the kind of a programs in India, and with Amity University, Uttar Pradesh, the first program started in 2013, and so now 7 years we are running that. And in 2017 in Mumbai, with Amity University Mumbai, in the same collaboration continued, and we started our programs in Amity University Mumbai. So the kind of currently the programs where architects can take admissions are MBA in construction project management. That is where they can take admission. We also run a program with a specialization MBA in construction project management, but with a construction economics and quantity surveying. There is a separate specialization which is there. That program is being run out of Noida. That CEQS we call it, construction economics and quantity surveying. So the program of construction project management is also available at Mumbai as well. But CEQS currently is only available at Noida. Then if you come to the other part, then we have real estate and urban infrastructure. So we run this program called as MBA Real Estate and Urban Infrastructure, both at Noida and Mumbai. And architects, engineers, and even other graduates are also allowed to take admission to that particular program of real estate. On the other hand, construction project management, even though it's an MBA and technically anybody can take an admission to that particular program, but we advise architects and engineers only to go for construction project management. The simple reason behind it is that you have to understand design world or construction world, at least one world, you have to understand fully. and then only you can work in construction project management. It's a very technical field with a lot of softwares involved today, and construction economics and quantity surveying to need a huge number of softwares as compared to this. So better for architects and engineers to go for CPM and others to stay away from that and instead come towards real estate and urban infrastructure. Because in MBA real estate urban infrastructure, sales, marketing, finance, multiple activities are there, and commerce graduates, arts graduates, science graduates, other engineers, they can also play an important role. Like for that matter, electrical and mechanical engineers can play important role in facility management. So they can play an important role there, and they can get a good career option also over there. Then we also have BBA programs in real estate and urban infrastructure, where we basically give admission to undergraduates, that is 12th standard students we give admission to. Again, arts, commerce, science, or diploma in engineering is okay for that. That program is a 3-year program, and that's an undergraduate program. We also have a program in facility management, which is a 1-year postgraduate diploma in facility management currently being run out of our Delhi campus or Noida campus. Eligibility of these particular programs is for master's program, you have to have a graduation with a 50% marks. And for BBA, you have to have 55% marks in your 12th standard. So that is the kind of a requirement this particular program has. And all these particular programs are UGC approved, because Amity University is a private university under Amity University Acts of Uttar Pradesh and Maharashtra. So the students basically get an Indian degree. At the same time, the most important part is that our degrees are also internationally accredited by Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors. So they are the promoters and they are the accreditors of this particular courses. And so what you get is a international accreditation you get once you complete this particular program, and you get a separate certificate towards that. What is the advantage of this is that you probably might have read my name, Architect Amol Shimpi, MRICS over here.
Yeah.
So I am a member of Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyor. So this membership is a very coveted membership. You have to apply for that particular membership, and after completion of the accredited programs, after 2 years you can apply. But if you have not completed this accredited program, then after 10 years in the industry, you can apply. You have to give an interview of almost 1.5 hours. And after that interview and submission, then you are declared as a member of Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyor. Now, this MRICS is considered as a kind of a good qualification in many countries across the continent, more than 100 countries. They consider MRICS as a qualification, particularly in the field of finance, valuation, project management, quantity surveying. Their MRICS is seen as a kind of an additional qualification which you earn, and the companies and the governments also across the world, they give the importance to this. Wherever RICS is present, they get a kind of an additional support if you are sporting this MRICS in front of your name. Then you also can become fellow of Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyor, provided you had given distinguished service over decades, then you can call as a FRICS. So this is something which architects are members of Council of Architecture. Similarly, if you are members of Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors, and by doing these accredited programs, after completion of 2 years of experience, after the program is completed, you can apply for that. And this membership you can maintain across your work life. And then there are many benefits of this membership. A complete new avenue gets open to you for getting new jobs, new projects, getting acquainted with various other consultants and professionals, and also clients also basically, they are there on this particular platform. So a lot of conventions and seminars take place, and a lot of e-learning and technical learnings are there, so that you can basically what we call as a continuation education program, CEP. So you can continuously learn, continuous CDP, what we call as continuous development program. Those kind of programs you can do. Any new thing which basically has come in our field that is made available to you. We also have our code of conducts and various manuals are there. These manuals become very, very important if you are working in the industry. Any changes in the rules and regulation in a specific country, you are also made aware about that. And so in this particular case, you can, as we say very clearly, that with RICS School of Built Environment, we always say education ke saath bhi, education ke baad bhi. So once you complete your education, you can basically join hands with us again by becoming MRICS, and till you decide to retire, or even after that also, you can remain associated with us. All the necessary support that can be given to you. We have a placement sale for the students who want to get placed. And later on, the students become part of the Alumni Association. Alumni Association also runs placement related activities when you want to change the job. The second jobs, third jobs you want to do. Alumni Association continuously keep advertising those kind of jobs on their internal verticals, and then you can come to know about it. Once you are an MRICS, then also you can come across various job opportunities or consultancy opportunities or projects that you can basically come across. And so in this particular case, what is most important? for a professional to develop.
Mm.
A professional has to have 4 capitals with him. And that first capital is knowledge capital. That is
Yes.
something, the knowledge what he has to gain during education and during practice continuously has to get knowledge capital. The next capital what we need to get is a brand capital, that he has to create himself as a brand. People should
Yes.
know him. People should relate him with success of certain projects, and then similar kind of projects he can start getting. That brand you have to make and brand you have to cultivate. If you are a member of a good organization, then people will know you, and that organization basically will keep only those who can basically maintain professional standards as their members. So your brand, personal brand, basically get enhanced if you are associated with an organization like RICS. Next thing what is required is HR capital. No profession can succeed, professional can succeed if HR capital is not there. How to basically get access to human resources if you have your own firm? How to recruit, how to hire and how to fire them? All these kind of ideas you come to know when you are part of a larger circle. So HR capital is something what you also need to go on cultivating. And last but not the least is the relationship and networking capital. You have to basically have relationship and networking capital, and then you can do it on your own. Say for example, your friend, family and relative circle is there, but beyond that if you have to go, then professional bodies basically help you, or for that matter social services club like Rotary, Lions, and also many people do that. But also a professional body, which body does not comprise only architects,
Yes.
like our IIA and other things, but here that is also very, very helpful. But there you get to know about only architects and the kind of work what they're doing. But here, if you become MRICS, you come across clients, you come across engineers, project management consultants, you come across finance managers, all these people who work in built environment and real estate, you come across when you become MRICS. So in a way, this is a kind of you don't see it as a kind of an education program. Of course, education is given, a degree is provided, but it's a career development opportunity what you have to get.
Yes.
So you get a job, or you basically can switch jobs, or you can basically start your own venture, and you will get all the necessary support from our side. That is something which is very important. So as I said earlier, education ke saath bhi, education ke baad bhi, and all this kind of a support system that needs to be provided. I would say with a kind of a certain conviction that barring the kind of a professional management programs what we run, barring a few organizations, nobody else basically works in that direction. They will hand over the degree to you, and some placement activity they would run, and they would say, thank you very much, this is your degree. We don't do that. We want our students to remain associated with us throughout.
Yeah, that's very nice, because usually when students are coming out of the college and that's it, that's all they get, and afterwards they are on their own, and that is a very lost feeling that they have, that they experience. So I think, sir, you have like told us about so many opportunities beside design that we have, and I'm sure our participants are like, wowed with all the facts that you have given, so many things that you have told us. Yeah, sure,
One
please.
thing I would
Yeah.
like to add is that the students generally have the questions regarding placements. So even in this kind of a tumultuous period which India is going through, overall we have been managed to put almost about 80-85% of our students, we could place them. Now, those students in this particular situation who are looking for a specific opportunity or for a specific city and are willing to wait, only those are left for employment. And again, the kind of in this particular time also, the kind of we have close to 1,200 employers on our panel. And out of that, about 200 employers, even in this condition also, March onwards, the scene changed completely. But still, the students, still these organizations basically decided to stick with us and got the interviews conducted. And some of the students even in this market also had got placed abroad also. So placements at abroad, particularly in Gulf countries, or in this year even Mauritius also, the students have received their placements. In Singapore also students have received a placement. So domestic and international, both kind of placements are available with multinational corporation, with local developers, with private banking, private investment banking funds. The range of employers and the kind of activities is very huge, and that they have been coming. And we are very sure, even after results also this year, the exam got slightly delayed. The exams were conducted online, but we could complete and could hand over the degree. And after that, again, the placement activities picked up. And so for the remaining students also, the placement activities are still on, and we will be doing, rather we are running now the placement for the new students, which are the third semester students, and them we are running parallelly. We are now telling them, if you want students to join immediately, these are the remaining students what we have. And if you want the students to join in the month of June, then you can also interview our juniors. So So this way we are running this particular part. So placement is something which we take very seriously. Again, placement is not a kind of a promise where you can really write on paper and can give it. Only past performance basically can speak for it. But students, if they have placement related issues and queries, they can rely that these people will not leave any stone unturned. That is something what they can really work on this particular part. And research is something also what we encourage with capstone project now coming up. And it's like a dissertation architecture. Student can decide what is the area where they would like to work, become a specialist. They can select that. And in third and fourth semester, they complete that capstone project. And also an internship is given to the students for 2 months between the second semester and third semester. So it's a kind of a complete package of knowledge, industry experience, and also the research capabilities that we try to generate and enhance in our students.
I think that's a great job that you and your institute are doing, and exploring, like opening up so many avenues for architects to work in, and that's really, really amazing. Ask you about one last thing that you want to say for the aspiring professionals who want to go into real estate, and then we'll start with our question answers. I'm sure there are many participants. So.
See, one thing I would like to tell young architects is that instead of a service provider, you have to start thinking that you are the center of universe. You have to understand that this whole business of real estate development or infrastructure development today starts with the idea that what can be done with the site.
Yes.
So the raw material, the development of that raw material, the product and services, what is required, that is completely your job. Chemical manufacturing cannot happen without a chemical engineer. Petrochemical activity does not take place when the petrochemical engineers are not involved and are at the center stage. We have to start learning from these other professionals, and then we have to take the real center stage of the real estate and development world. So instead of mere service provider and somebody who comes in the beginning and end of the project as a designer, and at the end when the permissions are to be taken and occupation certificate is taken, if you restrict yourself to that, then the world is going to treat you like that only. Then you will basically be paid only those much amounts which are due to you, and that also you'll have to fight for that. Instead of waiting for your fees from someone, why not become someone who distributes professional fees? That is something what you need to aspire today. And therefore and again, the world for entrepreneurs, it's a world full of risk, no doubt about it. But you can manage this risk if you understand, if you take proper education, proper experience, proper guidance, and you are in the right company. Then you know how to manage the risk. If you just are afraid completely of the risk, then you will not step out of your house also. So now you have to understand the kind of risk reward equation. The time has come for architects to understand that. And that is the kind of message I would like to give it, that you try to become an archipreneur or archi-developer. That is something which you need to do. And in this particular case, Council of Architecture would probably say that you cannot sign on the project where you are the developer. Then of course you have a lot of friends with you. They will sign for your project. Take their help. So I would think my only last message is that imagine a bigger and better world. And also imagine that you are someone who can make that particular change happen. As Mr. Mahatma Gandhi has said, be the change you want to see. Bhagavan Gautam Buddha said, Atta Dipa Bhava, you be your own light. And what message I can give to architects, that is Gautam Buddha and Mahatma Gandhi has said, that be your own inspiration. Architects are wonderful professionals. They are so much full of life and full of the kind of intensity. This intensity, the business has to see and experience and enjoy. You can not only real estate, you can actually enter into any product and any services, and you can make that difference over there. Whether it is hospitality, or whether it is product design, or whether it is retirement housing, or maybe running a sports institute. Architects can run these particular things in a very, very different way. I just want that particular streak of architects to become very, very prominent.
That's really great. Thank you very much. It was very inspiring, and I'm sure many people have got inspired to go into this area and explore more, to take up entrepreneurship, to take up different kinds of work that are waiting for them. So thank you for enlightening us today. And I would like to ask now anybody who has questions, please unmute yourself. You can ask, you can type, and his sir is here, so just shoot your questions. I think that will be great to have one-to-one dialogue with him. That's a great opportunity right now here. So yes, come on, Priyanka.
Hello, ma'am. Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, Priyank, go ahead.
Yeah, sir. Actually, I passed out around 2-3 months ago, architecture only. So I've started working with an architect who is around 20 plus experience. So, but he has a work kind of like as you told, the construction work also, and the design work also.
Hmm.
It's like completely handing over the project to the client.
Correct.
But I want to ask that, like, I have just started, so how can I learn more? And as I see, I go on sites and see the like material fluctuations and the rate, how the rate changes, and the architect also try to cater the client, and मतलब कोशिश करते हैं कि ताकि क्लाइंट को भी चीजें समझ में आए और सही रेट पे मिल जाए, और हम अपना प्रॉफिट भी ले सकें, और मटेरियल का, और जैसे जमीन को भी लेना और रखना होता है, मतलब कई चीजें अपने पास खुद से भी होती हैं। सो मतलब मैं कैसे ज्यादा ये चीजें सीख सकता हूँ?
See, you can learn also learn this by just being around in this particular field. But we have to
Yes, sir.
understand one thing is that the financial aspects of this are very, very important. Like mostly
Yes.
the kind of the opportunities what you get initially is not by making the down payment for the land completely, but joint venture, joint development that approaches to be there. And so in case of joint venture and joint development, what you are promising to landlord, you should be able to deliver. So for 1 or 2 projects, people will rely on you. But if you're not able to fulfill the promises, they will not hand over the opportunity of joint venture, joint development to you. So learning from the field is something which is possible, but professional management education basically takes you through multiple case studies, multiple formats, and also there are multiple formulas to basically work out this particular thing. And you can learn that only in a kind of a professional management program. We have seen with our experience that हाथ को पकड़ के ये चीजें ज्यादा कोई सिखाता नहीं है, particularly finance related matters and the professional licensing and other related permission related matters को इतना सिखाता नहीं है. So unless and until you basically become part of a program, then only you start learning about this particular part. Otherwise सालों साल लग जाते हैं ये सब करते करते. So that is where the kind of importance of professional management comes. Again, you mentioned that you work with a firm. They are into construction, but they are actually into real estate development. Construction is a specific thing, and we architects should learn that construction is construction contracting part, and getting the project executed is called as construction. Whereas somebody is taking over land and developing it for the client or for customers and selling it in the market, it's a real estate activity. So your employer is currently into real estate activity and not merely into construction. Maybe his construction is probably being done by a contractor. He is probably awarding it over there. We have to also understand one particular part, that in case of real estate, the construction is just one aspect of it. But imagining this particular project, designing, marketing, and all this kind of thing is a larger part. So maybe construction is about 40% or 50%, depending upon the what kind of size of the project and location and the cost and other things are there. But real estate in this particular case occupies a larger sphere. If you have to learn more about real estate, then in that particular case, you have to start right from the stage of land acquisition up to facility management. The entire cycle you will have to learn, Priyank. That is something important. And for that, professional programs help, because we have a lot of emphasis on case studies and doing your own research and also going out in the industry, meeting people. And as you are a student, they will help you. As you are an intern also, you get to know. See, the success lies in not making mistakes. Mistakes a professional entrepreneur is bound to make, but the success lies in not repeating the old mistakes. Okay, you can keep on making new mistakes, but you don't have to repeat old mistakes. That is something which is very important. Professional management basically helps you in avoiding, reducing, and also stopping making the repeat mistakes. That is something which is there. That is what I would say significance of management education. That is something which is important. Other professionals have already learned it. It's we have to learn.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Amol sir, if you just
Yes.
permit me, can I add on to this?
Yes,
Yeah,
you
sure.
can, please go ahead.
Yeah, Priyankji, I myself being a property consultant for and an entrepreneur for last 12 years, and we are
Okay.
presently a student of Amol Simpi sir, and we are also pursuing for MRICS as NAR ELP first batch. So Priyankji, for last 12 years, whatever we have learned by the hunting process. And what you will
Okay.
be learning at RICS will be the farming process. After
Okay.
being in this industry for last 12 years, we thought that we knew a lot. And after encountering with Amol sir and all other deans and teachers at the RICS school, we could understand that we don't even know 10% of the entire industry, what we had been thinking of. So it's to all the people who have joined here that the process, the learning that you will go through at RICS from whatever field you are, like presently we are all talking regarding architects. Being an architect or being a consultant or being a contractor are just a part of it. And in the present day world, you need to know the entire real estate.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay.
Yes.
Thanks,
Right.
thanks a lot, Deepak, for basically
Thank you.
supporting on that particular part. And I always basically enjoy the sessions with NAR because the vast experience, even I can also pick up into from the NAR professionals when I'm actually training them. So again, last opportunity which I did not mention for you guys is that you can also become trainers, you can become teachers. Teaching has completely changed now, and professional training and professional education, even online education has now opened up. So one opportunity which everyone can try and everyone should is maybe being a trainer or being a consultant or being a kind of a teacher in this particular field, because there is always something new to pick up and something new to learn from other fields. I would say real estate is a very glamorous field for that matter, because even like my one of the firms which I run along with my wife is an investment firm. So we run a private investment firm and we sell all the products like mutual fund shares, not shares, but mutual funds, insurance and other things. But whenever we say that we also help you make real estate investments, people suddenly get charged up because they are not thinking insurance so much, about investment so much. But real estate investment, when something is to be bought or something needs to be sold, or if they have something which needs to be leased, suddenly they basically become aware and they basically make it that discussion opportunity available with you. So right from Mr. Amitabh Bachchan to somebody who has just stepped into Mumbai and is in search of job, the moment he gets the job, he thinks about real estate. So we are fortunate enough to basically work in this particular field, which is after food and clothing, shelter is the third most important
Yes.
thing. And we are fortunate to be in this particular industry. And therefore, there cannot be shortage of work for the guys who are trained, who are motivated, and who wants to basically change this particular world. So opportunities are aplenty. Only thing is that if you are only looking for, with your portfolio in hand, if you are only looking for design opportunity and expect to turn the world, maybe that is something which is possible, but something gets tougher. And as Deepak very clearly mentioned, is that people are looking at solution today, that everyone is short of time, and they believe that why architect will not able to do this. If architect is a developer, he can do justice to my requirements. If an architect becomes a contractor and takes a bungalow construction himself, or he does the interior as an interior contractor, people feel that architect interior contractor can do a better job than somebody who has learned interior designing just on the road or interior contracting. They are willing to give the opportunity. It is we who are shying away from the whole process. That we don't have to do. We are designers. We can change the world. We know that particular part.
Yeah.
So whether it is Chandigarh or whether it is Lorry Baker, what they did is that they believed into what they did and they changed the world for us. Laid multiple examples. And I can say that some of my students, they basically decided to go for affordable housing, not only from designing, but also from construction solution. And today they are doing that particular part. They have not restricted themselves only as a designer of affordable housing. They started working on the technology. They made multiple visits to Pondicherry, and today they can provide solution to their clients with land and with building and with design. Everything they're doing. So architects can do it. Some of my students have already done it. Some of my students have formulated interior designing firms. Then they became interior contractors, and today they are amongst the top 10 fit out contractors in India. So these are my students only. those who learned 20 years back, 22 years back, or 23 years back. Only one thing what they understood is that understanding business fundamentals is also equally important for architects, that they understood and they could change the world for themselves. One last thing I would like to say is that many times architects get this advice that you should remain true to the profession. Paisa ke aata jata hai, and money is not all that important. Don't believe that particular bullshit. Thinking about all these particular things is good when you are sitting in Mercedes C-Class and E-Class and you are sitting on the back seat of that and you are being driven somewhere. Then you can think about all of this kind of thing. When you really don't even have a bicycle or a motorcycle, then the best thing what you need to do is that make money for yourself, make money for the country, make money for your family, and in this particular process also try to balance the interests of others, other society members. You have this God-given responsibility. Only thing, why you are not stepping up to that particular responsibility, that is the question.
And Amol sir, also if you can highlight, this is the most sought after professions in UK and US on that.
Of course, real estate is something which is like basically if you go to US, then they earn probably 0.5% on their deposits or sometimes 0%. They don't earn any money when you basically invest into formal investments. But when you start investing into, say, mutual funds or directly into stocks or into real estate, the percentage starts moving up. And because of that, real estate is a kind of a particular real estate and investment is a very, very important business in other developed world. And then those who basically make people invest money into this, those help people invest money into it, whether you are a developer or you are a financer or you are a fund manager of real estate, then you are somebody who is a respected professional over there. In India also, we have started noticing this particular thing. Today, Blackstone Private Equity Fund, they are the largest office owners in the country. And they are also the biggest retail mall owners in the country. Just 2005, 2006, these people started exploring. 2009-10, they started investing. And in 10 years time, India's office space, formal office space, the largest office owner is Blackstone Group. And then that is something that we already have moved into this particular world. We are really not aware about that. The big money has started coming into India, and this big money is finding itself into real estate. Already two REITs, real estate investment trusts, have already happened in this country. One is Embassy Blackstone, one has happened. The other is Raheja, K. Raheja Corp. Their REIT has also happened. And now we are waiting for RMZ Corp. They are coming up with it, Bangalore again. And then probably Prestige and other companies are also working in that particular direction. So by end of 2030, maybe, we probably may have 40 to 50 REITs in this particular country. And by 2025, at least 20 REITs would be there in this country. And real estate investment trust is, you can say, the kind of the pinnacle or the pinnacle of this particular world of real estate is those kind of a professional real estate investment firms who are coming and putting their money in the country. Stability, rules and regulations, laws like GST and RERA are all what these particular companies need to operate. And that is what is started happening. In 1991, the world changed for us when we went for liberalization. In 2005, real estate, FDI in real estate was permissible. Again, the world changed for us. And in 2016, with the trinity of RERA, demonetization, and GST implementation, again, the world changed for us. Now, the third opportunity has come in the architect's way. Now, that opportunity, architects and other design professionals has to take up by both hands. I don't know when the fourth opportunity is going to come. It will come in 2030 or maybe later. But what has happened in 2016, if we don't capitalize, we will only be left to be blamed ourselves.
Yes. Yes, wow. So I think great insight, great about how globally it is being, it is in demand, this profession. Do architects have a higher acceptancy out there in field as a construction project managers when compared with civil engineers?
Okay, now let me answer this particular part. Civil engineers and architects both are taking admissions to construction project management. So it's not a higher acceptance or something. There in construction project management, multiple roles are there. So whether it is right from the pre-construction planning is one particular part. During construction planning and scheduling, these other activities are there. So generally you will find that architects playing a great role in pre-construction planning and then later on monitoring of this particular project. But if you look at the scheduling, costing and all this kind of things, civil engineers, they have received that kind of education regarding structural construction, structural work and all that they have received. Our architects generally concentrate on the design and consultant and other consultancies as well as other different design aspects of it. So both are, I would say, equally accepted. It only depends upon the stage of the work. And one more thing which is there is that as I said earlier, because of the BIM, acceptance of BIM is very much there, building information modeling, and then use is there. So in the creation of these particular BIM models, architects can play an important role by somebody who can understand 3D really well. So they have received a kind of a training. So different aspect of construction project management, different background professionals are there. So I would say both are important for a success of this particular project.
And I mean, qualification wise, both are equal.
Yes.
It depends on the personality of a person. So it is more, it is depending on that. So it is not about the background that you are having. You can excel as an architect also.
Absolutely. You can. In both ways, it is possible. Therefore, we have architects taking admission to construction project management, and architects are taking admission to MBA real estate also. So we do a counseling process and we help them and guide them. In some cases, architect thinks that they will probably be better suited to real estate and urban infrastructure. And in some cases, they think that they are better suitable to construction project management. You will wonder with one thing, I have taken hundreds of interviews in last 4 years now. And you'll wonder that sometimes the architects get impressed by the power which a construction project manager wields on the site. Yes. And then they get impressed by this and hame bhi wo banna hai.
Yeah, it's like king of the site.
The construction project management is becoming a sophisticated field in this country since last 40-45 years.
Moving on to the next one, Siddhi More is asking, what is the difference between PG and MBA course in real estate and urban infrastructure?
PG means you meant to say postgraduate studies?
Post-graduation, I think, yeah.
Post-graduation, there are some institutes in this particular country who don't offer a degree or diploma, but they just offer postgraduate certificate. My answer to this particular question to this, it is better to basically take a professional management degree, or for that matter, any professional postgraduate degree. Like for that matter, you can become MTech also, and you can not necessarily real estate, but you can become MTech in any other field like structures or anything else you can do, or MTech in sustainability. Getting a proper postgraduate management degree, postgraduate degree, whether management or MTech or something, that matters, because later on in the life, it becomes very difficult for us, even if you realize at a later stage that you want to get a postgraduate proper degree, it becomes very difficult for you to basically get onto that particular path. One more thing, that industry values only postgraduate studies differently and postgraduate degrees very, very differently. And HR departments many times are only aware about that somebody is an MBA. Their thinking process starts only after that. So when we are spending 2 years after our architecture, why to basically do something which is lesser than an MBA or an MBA? That would be my kind of a thing. Another thing is that if tomorrow you want to become a PhD in this particular thing, research opportunities are unfolding. Foreign universities are likely to come over here tomorrow. Then they would value PhD a lot. And having a post-graduation is the only sure shot way of taking your PhD. In education, particularly, PhD is going to take a center stage later on. Education, training, and consultancy, PhDs also would matter, because in India, those level of work was not happening. And therefore, we don't have many PhDs in real estate, or for that matter, PhD in construction project management also are not many. But tomorrow, that requirement would be there. Why to lose this particular thing unnecessarily by doing something else and while your time, by doing something which is offering only postgraduate studies?
Yeah. So. Okay, I hope Siddhi, your question was answered. And we have a next one from Ankit Mehra. As a fresher architect, I want to ask how much of experience one should possess before joining the program.
There is no sure answer for this particular part. There are some students who want to have an experience. Some students want to join immediately, because this program is a 5-year program. So 18 plus 5, 23. Already you are 23. So many times architects prefer to join directly, because by the time 25, then they have to find a job. So by the time this MBA gets completed, they are 25. And also what we do is that even if you are a fresher, then you get some industry experience by internship, number one, and then you can basically do capstone project. And that capstone project in semester 3 and semester 4, again you get exposed to the industry. And so in that case, even if you have zero knowledge about how the industry operates, then you still will be able to find your way in this particular process. But some students consider that at least 1 year they should spend in the industry. If you have any doubt about that particular part, you can always remain in touch with us. As far as this year has been a pretty tough year, and therefore what UGC has allowed is that they have allowed us to continue admissions even now also. So if you want to take admission to 2020 program, whether MBA Real Estate Urban Infrastructure and MBA CPM, the program is still on, admissions are still on, and we will be running a kind of a very special sessions for those who are late joiners, that they will still be able to complete their education before 2022. That is the year where they'll be giving 4th semester exam. So we will see to it that they are able to complete this particular part, and they are successfully will complete their MBA in 2 years of time. So even if you are just now received your architecture result, you can still think about joining our program, or then you can join in 2021, where the admission process for that has also started.
Aditya is asking, without having a biased opinion to RICS, which college would you consider in top 5 in India for CPM?
If I'm talking about postgraduate education, and that to a degree program, because I will not like to comment on somebody who is not even offering a degree. I would not consider that as so because the top 5 education institutes, then probably I will have to consider only institutes offering degree. So then in that particular case, I would say that 2 of our programs, which are being construction project management, definitely we have certain kind of standing. खुद के बारे में खुद बोलना शायद इतना ठीक नहीं है. There are so many students and so many pass outs who can vouch for that. But at the same time, we can see that in case of construction project management, IITs, they also run this particular program, but they run the program from the MTech perspective. So construction project management MTech is a different ballgame altogether, and MTech MBA, construction project management MBA, is a different ballgame. I'll explain. In case of MTech in construction project management, you are made aware about more about the technical aspects of the project, or maybe more about the software, the technologies and all that. But the holistic approach of being a running the project as a project manager, you cannot get that. You get only in MBA, where right from marketing, HR, finance, valuation, these kind of programs are part of our core construction project management work also, students also. So MBA basically gives a different approach. MBA basically makes you a manager who can get the thing executed by even appointing consultants and getting things done. But project management, if you are done as an MTech, then you can become expert of machinery, plant and machinery, MTech in sustainability maybe, or MTech into this, but your business aspect is something which are not covered much in any MTech program. So I don't really have a list ready, but I would say that MTech, if you want to do, and if your approach is like this, then you can join IITs because they run that kind of a program successfully. Then MIT in Pune, they are also running program, both MBA and MTech that they are running. So the for that matter, MBA is in construction project management still not being offered by many institutes, be handful of institutes, but MTech in construction project management many institutes are offering. So that would it would be very difficult for me to give 5 names to you, but I would say that barring our programs, then you can try 2-3 other things also, but then that much focus has to be there. But what we come with is a kind of an internationally accredited program with a proper full-time degree, which helps you to take admission into PhD anywhere in the world or in the country. We had always decided that we would not get into this business of basically just providing some kind of certificates and offer jobs, and that should not be the kind of our aim for our program. And so right from the beginning, we are very sure that we'll offer a proper university degree to our students. And I once again vouch that take a proper university degree. You're already 23 years of your age if you have done your architecture. After that, you don't have too much of time for experimentation. Okay, do something which is good, either here or abroad. One message to everyone is that, like, you can probably, if you want, you can add me onto LinkedIn. And you can ask me further questions over there also, because maybe the questions will not come to you right now, but on this particular platform of Architects of World, that you can raise the questions through them also. They will help you in reaching across me. Or the second thing what you can do is that you can add me onto the LinkedIn, and then after that I will be happy to answer your questions.
Okay.
Stage is yours, Snehal.
Yeah, thank you very much for joining in and spending your evening with us because I know it's hard. Many of you must be working all day or studying or something, and then again logging in for another session it's very hard to do that. And thank you for joining us. You had been a great participant. We with a lot of questions, a lot of enthusiasm. So great to be with you all. And be connected with us. We keep holding such seminars from time to time at Architects of World. You're already registered over there, so please visit the website, see if you like something, write emails to us with any suggestions. You can even contribute by if you are interested in writing blogs or vlogs about field, about your experiences, about anything in profession. Just contact us and we kind of go scrutinize the vlogs and the blogs, and we upload it on our website, so you can even contribute to that. And it's your website, it's your community, so be a part of it. And that's it.
Thanks a lot.
Thank
Thanks
you.
a lot,
Thank
Ajay.
you. Thank you,
Thank
sir,
you,
for
Sanjay.
a wonderful
Thank you, Amol
session.
sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Bye.
much.